So good afternoon, welcome back to Les Sables d'Olonne. It is day number 54 on the racecourse. Friday the 3rd of January indeed. The big machines are out on site here. We're building up to the finish. It's a little bit of a race against time to be ready for the first boats to finish, which we expect to be between the 15th and 16th of January. In the race today, well, finally the leaders, Charlie Dalin and Johan Richomme, are breaking free of the high pressure system and getting into the southeasterly trades, which we're seeing building this afternoon, probably up to about 15 knots. In the meantime, it's been pretty tough for Thomas Riong. He lost his J2 yesterday afternoon in a big squall, 50 knots plus, knocked flat, lost his J2. The other thing for him is he already had an pre-existing problem with his mainsail, so he cannot use his first reef. In the meantime, it's been a tough Cape Horn rounding for Damien Sagan and Roman Attanasio today, but they should get some relief as they get round the Cape and get into the lee of the Andes, and a big high-pressure system for them. But in the meantime, it's been actually quite light for the leaders, for Charlie Dalin and Johan Richomme. It's been a chance to recharge their batteries a little bit, although going quite slowly over the last 2 days. But Charlie Dalin tells us how it's been.
We should accelerate today, so we should start to see a bit more wind, We should see like the trade wind should get a bit stronger during the day, and we should gradually accelerate, setting north towards equator. So it's my last stack is the start of the. Normally I shouldn't stack again, but you never know. You never know with these crazy conditions. Yesterday was pretty incredible regarding wind direction. I had huge shifts. I could see a big header, for example. My alarm for a header would go off. I would go in the cockpit, and by the time I'd be in the cockpit, I would be in the big lift. So and I was like this all day. It was pretty crazy, and I think I never seen wind variation in direction so rapidly, and so important and frequent and rapid during the day yesterday. I think I rarely seen this before. I mean, maybe it's potentially the first time I see variation this big. Last climb was something as well. I didn't want to change my angle. I didn't want to lose terrain on to lose distance on Johan. So once I was up there, I was pretty shaky. I was moving quite a lot. When I was up there, I did tell myself, like, why didn't you slow down a bit? Like that's clearly not a good idea. So luckily I managed to secure myself, so I was not moving much, and managed to carry the work. And when it was time to come down, I think I definitely broke my record of climbing down the mast. I think it took me less than a minute to climb down. And I came down like a special forces style, very fast, almost free fall. And then so the wind should start to pick up during the day, and it's the start of a very long starboards. I haven't done routings to finish today, but I should definitely. This stack should hopefully carry us through the doldrums and in the northeast trade wind. Hopefully, at least to Madeira, Canaries, maybe Azores. We've got a few 1,000 miles of starboard port to sail, and it's going to be should be a pretty fast angles as well. So we should start to cover quite a lot of miles in the next few days.
So there we go, Charlie Dalin on this big long starboard tack all the way up through the equator towards the high pressure system, which we know is waiting for them up in the Canaries. But very much a boat speed race, I think, over the next few days between the two leaders. In the meantime, we're excited to welcome our guests for today with Michael Wenger, who is an expert on all things polar and Antarctic. He's with the Polar Journal. Michael, how are you and where are you?
Hi, thank you very much for being there. I'm currently sitting in Switzerland looking outside. It's quite cold and snowy, so it's definitely something different than what the leaders are currently experienced who are actually sailing really, really fast there. It's amazing. Yeah, so looking forward.
We'll join you in a few seconds, and as if by magic, we have a Swiss-German skipper with us today, hopefully in our live. But we're also excited to welcome the dynamic duo from Canada Ocean Racing. We've got the founder and skipper for prospective 2028 skipper Scott Shawyer, who's with us hopefully in Canada, and the program manager, 2004 Vendée Globe skipper Nick Moloney, who's in England. How are you guys?
Doing really well, Andy. Thanks.
Excellent.
Good, Andy. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good. But let's go straight to Ollie here, who I think is joining us from Toot Good. Ollie, how are you?
Good morning, Andy, and hi everyone. I'm okay. I'm a little bit frustrated, I have to say. I had better starts to New Year's than 2025. I was basically stuck in a wind hole for 2.5 days, and now I've got 5, 6, 7 knots of wind, but still not much. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera. It's quite cold down here, but it's good. I'm in one piece. The boat's in one piece, and I'm just waiting for the wind to slowly fill in and gradually get stronger again.
How have you coped with these days? I mean, you don't have much choice, but what have you been doing to fill the time? Obviously, just trying to keep the boat moving, I gather, I would imagine.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for 2 days, I literally had an average wind speed of about 2 knots. So very, very, very little wind. And this actually is quite stressful on the boat because the pilot can't really drive properly, and you have to adjust the sails by quite a lot, depending if you have 1 knot of wind or 3 or 4 knots of wind. So it's actually not that relaxing on the boat. It's much easier if it's just a steady 20 knots and you can set the boat up, press autopilot on, and then the boat just sails itself. So I stayed surprisingly busy.
More time on deck and more time in the cold, I would imagine.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Regularly up in the cockpit, trimming the sails, quite often on the computer, adjusting the autopilot, trying to look at the weather, trying to find a way out of this very light patch, high pressure system. And it's very cold out here. I mean, even as a Swiss, I have to say, your fingers get numb very, very quickly when you're working up on deck.
So we've got Scott Shawyer joining us in Canada, somebody who also likes the cold. Maybe, Scott, you know him pretty well. You raced reasonably closely on the NewYork Vendée. Scott, say hello to Ollie.
Hey, Ollie. How are you doing out there? I've been watching you closely and feeling your pain, seeing you in that wind hole, man. I think it's clearing up, though, so stay with it.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, thank you, Scott.
You guys were fairly close in the NewYork Vendée, weren't you? You shared the same wind hole at the same time, I think, didn't you?
Well, I think half the fleet was sharing the same wind hole.
That's right.
Things are improving for you though, Ollie, are they?
Yes, they are. The wind is just gradually getting a bit stronger and settles in terms of direction. I should kind of have a northwesterly wind, and at the moment, it's north. 12 hours ago, it was still kind of northeasterly, so it settles in. But to be fair, it stays light for the next 5 days, or 4 days. It stays below 15 knots. So but hey, it's not the end of the world for me because it's kind of close reaching what's happening here, and I'm on port deck. And I can't cant my keel to port, meaning I'm actually quite happy with not too strong winds because I can still sail my polars and I can still do some decent speed without feeling it too much that I don't have a keel.
Now, Ollie, we've had 3 skippers who have seen ice. What's your reaction to the news there's ice on the course?
Yes, that definitely spices things up a little bit. I never expected, I didn't expect this to happen, to be fair. And looking at my course, I will be sailing through the same patch, pretty much bang on, very close to the ice limit where they have encountered the ice. I try to do one thing after the other. So first, I'm trying to get out of this high pressure system, catch the wind. get a good ETA of when I'm in this area, and then get in touch with race management so they can update me of where all the sightings have happened and in which direction they believe the stuff drifts.
The guy we have with us today is Michael Wenger, who's an expert on the Antarctic and the polar regions. He's going to say hello. He's a Swiss-German like yourself.
Hey, Olli, wie geht's? Alles Gute da drunten und Happy New Year noch.
Let's stay in English if you don't mind, guys.
Yeah, no problem. I hope you're doing well down there. It's not much warmer in Switzerland currently, and wish you a Happy New Year. You're very close to the Antarctic now, so good on you there.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Same to you. Thank you.
Ollie, just one quick question. Obviously, you have a sponsor who are into vitamins and personal health. Is that helping you? Do you have a diet that you're following, taking lots of vitamins all the time?
Yes, I am. Yeah, absolutely. They are not just a financial partner, but they're also supplying a lot of vitamins and supplements. And to be fair, I mean, it's difficult to really say how what the impact is of these supplements. But fact is that I do feel still very healthy. I don't feel too exhausted, too weak. I'm nowhere. I haven't got a snotty nose or. So no, I feel great, and these couple of tablets that I take each day, I'm pretty certain that they do help.
Fantastic, Ollie. Great to see you. Great to speak with you, and hopefully things improve in terms of the wind, but and hopefully you can stay a little bit warmer. But thanks so much for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Have a good one, Scott. Bye, bye, Nick. Bye, Andy.
Ollie.
Cheers. Bye, bye.
Bye, Ollie.
So let's go to Michael now. Michael, you're involved with tourism, or you're a tourist guide down to the Antarctic regions. It's, you know, we talk about the Vendée Globe being the Everest of the seas. There's more and more adventurers, amateur adventurers, going to Everest and having an impact on Everest. What are we seeing? What are the trends in terms of adventure tourism down to Cape Horn and the Antarctic?
There are basically two things that are happening currently down there. So on the one hand, you have the regular cruise tourism. Mostly it's expedition cruising, so smaller vessels up to about maybe 400 passengers. And this is very much controlled by the International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators, which are actually following the Antarctic Treaty. And this is really controlled. It's the IATO is trying to maintain a very strong a very strong environmental protocol, to which the members of IATO really follow up, allowing people not to get too close to wildlife, following all the environmental protocols, and also the vessels have to follow very strict regulations on how they are actually equipped and what they need to be able to do when going down to the Antarctic waters. And on the other hand, you have more and more people going down, also with sailing boats, sailing yachts going down there, quite often on their own. And most of the time, they're also well equipped, having steel hulls and all the safety regulations that they need in order to cruise down there. But every now and then you also, of course, you get the black sheep that actually are just not following up to the rules and regulations. And currently there's a investigation going on because apparently somebody landed down at Deception Island, which is a very prominent tourist spot, and vandalized the historic one of the historic buildings down there simply by spray canning paint on one of the buildings and doing some graffitis. So overall, it's increasing. Tourism down there is increasing, but I would say about 99.9%, it's really well managed.
And what other impacts you've been going down to these regions for more than 20 years? What are you seeing as man's impact and the effects of climate change?
Along the Antarctic Peninsula, so this is the area between South America and the Antarctic there. It's one of the warmest, fastest warming regions in the world. It's basically like the Arctic. and you can see glaciers melt. You can see really the glaciers melting, ice shelves breaking apart, like. And we're talking about thousands of square kilometers of ice that basically just disintegrate immediately, creating a lot of icebergs. Some of these icebergs that the guys have been seeing now on Vendée Globe are coming from the west coast and probably from the west coast of Antarctica, having broken loose from the glaciers due to the warming. And it's not just the air; it's also the waters. The waters are warming up, changing the chemistry and also the life underneath in the ocean along the Antarctic Peninsula. So you do see the impact, and especially when you go down there for a long time, like me and many of my colleagues who have gone down there, you can see the impact of this warming, and areas that have been ice-free or have been iced in, you could not reach. It's now easy for them to reach, which again strengthens the tourism down there.
That's very interesting. Now, Nick Moloney, you raced down there in 2004 before we had an ice exclusion zone and saw ice. What's your view on the exclusion zone in particular?
Very different view on the whole exclusion zone sort of debate, if you will, and to try and not, with fear of sounding macho in any way, shape or form, for us when we sailed around the world, we expected to encounter ice, and it was part of the motivation, I guess, for the sailor, the experience, the excitement about going into the Southern Ocean, also the North Atlantic as well. We saw some really big icebergs in the North Atlantic, but I think it's almost a privilege. It's a great privilege, to be honest, to see ice, and it is for me part of sailing around the world. The exclusion zones do really play havoc with the fleet strategically and tactically. They force maneuvers, etc. But they are necessary to a point. When in my race, Sebastian Josse collided with an iceberg. In the race prior, Ella MacArthur had amazing footage coming off her boat of rushing into the cockpit after cleaning the window of the interior of her cockpit and seeing an iceberg just pass within feet of her, and looking at the footage out the back of the boat, the iceberg was in her wake. So yeah, there is high risk down there for sure, and there is strong meaning, and reason for managing it, on helping and assisting and keeping the sailors safe. But it is still a little bit sad for those who won't see ice, because I've enjoyed it and I've seen it every time I've gone around the world.
As you say, I think Nick, very privileged, but you couldn't send 30. Well, we've got 35 skippers down there, or through these areas without an exclusion zone.
No, it's correct, Andy. It is high risk now, particularly with the numbers of sailors going down there, particularly the speeds that everyone's going now. I've got some funny memories down there of the Jules Verne doing, high 30 knots and standing on the front beam in the dark and looking out for icebergs. And you can't do that in mass numbers. And, arguably you can't do it at all. But I think the race organisers are doing exactly the right thing in all of the round the world races right now. There is high level of protection on the fleet, which is a necessity. But I still think it's a magical thing. I've been fortunate enough. Michael and I have exchanged contacts, and we'll pick up on a conversation around Antarctica offline, because I have been fortunate to go down to Antarctica, and the ice down there is really something that is majestic, and it's beautifully overwhelming, really.
Indeed, we'll come back to you in a few seconds, Nick. Let's look at the meteo for today with a nice sunset from Sam Davis, who is not long round to Cape Horn herself. So starting off with Friday's weather, focusing on the leaders, starting to get into the southeasterly trades. We expect them to build for them from about midday today, and then progressively get more and more established. We should see them accelerate into the afternoon. So that's the situation for Charlie Dalin and Johan Richomme. Meantime, Sebastian Simon having to make quite a sharp angle to get out to the east, to get out to the trades from the Brazilian coast. Very, very unsettled in this centre of this low pressure system all the time, trying to get out into the reaching conditions coming out of the the low pressure system. Thomas Riong, as we know, big shifts, big squalls yesterday. So too, that's the reports from the boats more towards the centre of the low pressure. Very difficult situation for them, but they should come out in about 24 hours into better reaching conditions finally. But it's been a very tough phase for them. Looking at particularly at Justine Metro, who went around the other side of the low pressure system, getting into faster downwind conditions earlier, but she's got a little bit further to sail. So let's play out the animation and see how this goes. Charlie and Johan coming into the southeasterlies, pointing more directly towards the equator up here, which is say they should come through on Sunday. Otherwise, Sebastian Simon having to make a lot of easting, and then coming out here, we're seeing the much better conditions, although a little bit more of the high pressure to cross for Justine Metro. So that's the situation for our leaders. Looking now at the boats behind at Cape Horn, or coming round Cape Horn. This big high pressure system to the west of these boats is a big blocking problem for them, and correspondingly, once again, the ice zone, the exclusion zone, creates a barrier here that they have to work up. So it's pretty complicated just now for Clarice Kramer and Benjamin de Treux, more so for Sam Davis at the moment. Pretty tough conditions for Roman Attanasio and Damien Sagan, who came round just earlier on today. They've come round in strong 35 knot northwesterlies, and ahead for them, we'll see how this progresses. But this high pressure system, very complicated for them in particular, but perhaps an option to go west. John Le Cam coming in good conditions, generally westerly breezes. He's had a really good run across the Pacific generally. And otherwise, it's fairly decent conditions here for Alan Rura, for Giancarlo Padotti and Isabel Josh. And then this group back here, passing or past Point Nemo now. Altogether, I think there's only about 25 miles between the main part of that group. Super close for the Daggerboard boats, but and also in quite good southwesterly conditions for them. So that's the situation with the weather today, Friday. So indeed, that group of Daggerboard boats are really having a great race within the race, one to keep our eyes on. Michael, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us for this broadcast. Hopefully you'll come back and join us on a future Friday. But in the meantime, thank you. And I'm going to go to Scott Shawyer. Scott, give us an update on your programme. You have a boat now?
Andy, we have we have one boat, our original boat, which you can see up here on my screen. We are under agreement to purchase the second boat, which is a foiling boat, and I can't tell you which boat it is yet, just because it's subject to some NDT and some other verifications. But hopefully, in about a month's time, we'll finalize that deal and have ourselves a new foiling boat.
And when do you plan to go sailing on the new boat?
As soon as possible. It's going to take a bit of work. It's in a shed right now and needs to be put back together. We also want to do some customization and put some creature comforts in it. It's pretty Spartan right now, but hoping to be sailing by spring and potentially looking at the Fastnet as our first race in this season.
Scott, I mean, you're a ski racer as well, and ski racing's all about memorising and walking the course and the small details. What do you, from that perspective, presumably last time in the Vendée Globe you were watching as a spectator, what are you learning as you go along this time? What's the practical learning?
Yeah, I'm studying it pretty closely, that's for sure. I'm doing multiple routings regularly. I mean, I'm actually finding that I kind of know what I'm doing with the software now, which is great. I mean, I have had a few years of practice with it, and you know, understanding the weather in the south, and you know, I'm really finding that I think the Indian Ocean was a lot stronger weather than what the models were predicting. I guess that's what we heard the sailors saying, and that's what I was seeing in what I was looking at as well. Oftentimes, you know, overlaying satellite and other models, and you could see that the base models really were under projecting. I think, you know, the Pacific's been a little tamer than maybe in the past, but no, it's been really neat just to kind of, you know, verify the weather patterns around the world. And you could even see as Johan and Charlie were coming up the coast of Brazil there, they were getting hit by those lows that spin off, which were the same lows that let them, you know, kind of rocket down into the south in the first place. So yeah, seeing lots of sails in the water, seeing lots of problems with mainsail hooks and you know, things that, you know, we got to make sure we have backups for and things like that. So it's great seeing all the content coming off the boats, though. Lots to learn, that's for sure.
But learning how to prepare yourself mentally for anything, pretty much.
You have to, absolutely. That's the other thing that, really hit me over the holidays was imagining, being out on a boat and missing all of the, we had parties here for Christmas. We had a party for my wife's birthday, which was just before New Year's. We had a party for New Year's, seeing friends and family, and just realizing that in 4 years' time, I'll be missing all of that completely, and really kind of feeling it for the sailors out there right now, missing, all the festivities and family time over the holidays. Got to be a really tough part of the race. You
can double up on your parties just now, I'm sure.
I'll do my best.
Good. Anyway, now listen, Paul Meilhat's leading the peloton, if you like, the group in this big low-pressure system in the South Atlantic. He's made a little bit of a jump, but it's been pretty tough. Very, very unsettled conditions, and this is Paul.
I'm fine, a bit tired, but normal.
It's normal, but what's been happening? Your option has worked well for you.
Yeah, it was not easy, but I took a bit of risk, but it worked. But it's not finished because we are fighting against this big low pressure, really big, and it's hard to make but I hope I will find the exit quickly, and if I'm lucky, the other guy that there will be harder for them. Condition is are really different. We are from 0 to 40 knots, and the wind is coming from the west to the east by the north, actually. So it's a bit crazy. A lot of thunderstorm, and the sea state is not big as well, but it's really choppy, and so it's really hard to go fast with the boat. Actually, I have a little big gust now, so I think I will short this Meilhat. Ciao, bye.
So there we go, difficult situation for Paul Meilhat. I can assure you that everything was okay, although you did get knocked over a little bit of a broach there, but he's back up and running and going well. Now then, let's have a look at today's ranking as at midday with some nice images from Justine Metro on Teamwork, Team SNEF. So the ranking at midday, well, Charlie Dalin just eking out a few more miles over the course of last night and this morning. He's now 57 miles ahead of Johan Richomme, but still that gap pretty stationary between Richomme and Sébastien Simon in third, and still almost exactly 1,000 miles between Simon and Thomas Riong, and it's Riong and Paul Meilhat fourth and fifth. Well, it is about 170 miles still between Riong and Paul Meilhat, but then it's pretty close. Paul Meilhat's just under 100 miles now ahead of Nico Lundven, and it's very close with the boats behind with Nico Lundven, Jeremy Bayou. Sam Goodchild is only about 28 miles behind Bayou, which is really good news for Sam. Boris Herman and Sam, though, are only 5 miles apart, as they have been for days, so very interesting. And then Justine Metro in 10th. Looking at our internationals, Sam Davis still 13th. No chances for her to pick up miles just now. Otherwise, Alan Rura in 17th, Isabel Josk 18th, Giancarlo Poduti, that trio all pretty close together. Further down the table, Kojiro Shiraishi still 24th, Conrad Coleman 26th, but I say that little group are super close, the Daggerboard boats in particular. Conrad's only 2 miles ahead of Girek, and I think it's, 14 miles ahead behind Violette de Ronge, so that little race within the race going on nicely. Meantime, Oliver Heer still stuck in the high pressure zone, but sailing a solid race. Jing Kun Chu in 32nd with a big low pressure system coming in for him, and Denny van Beerenberg in 35th. Our Belgian skipper expecting a big low coming in behind him, so he's moving up to the north now. Scott, your own sustainability project, your Be Water Positive, You have lots going on. We're going to have you back for a special Friday programme with yourself and Nick, but tell us about your beer.
Oh, the beer. Well, we made, one of our partners made beer out of recycled water. And for those of you, I guess, what is recycled water? Recycled water is a big part of the kind of the Be Water Positive, I guess, movement, if you will. And the notion is that instead of purifying water to a limited level and sending it back to the oceans to then pump it back and get it to drinking water, is that you can process it to drinking water standards again without sending it into the water table and pulling it back out again. And so that's what they've done, is they've taken water that came into a treatment plant, processed it to the point of drinking water quality, and then made a beer of it. And I tried the beer, and it tastes perfectly good. It's great. And that was the point of it. It was an exercise to show that you can recycle water quite successfully and make products out of it and drink it directly if you want. And that's part of the Be Water Positive message we're trying to get out, is for people to understand that you can do that. The technology's there, and we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should be embracing it, because it does save energy and helps protect the environment as well by recycling water.
Hopefully you'll be bringing some to the start in 2028, if not before.
I will, for sure.
Nick, just as we finish, just give us your thoughts on this race. It's been an incredible race with so many boats still in the race. The level of attrition is lower than ever.
Yeah, Andy, I'm blown away, to be honest. The adventure's so captivating as ever. The fleet numbers has been incredible, and as you say, the attrition's been like we've never seen it before. So yeah, it is amazing, and the races within the race are super interesting. The leaders now, as you say, it's going into a boat speed race. The pressure that those two leaders must be feeling about the decisions that they've made, the sail choices, the design choices. Do they have it in them in terms of their ability to get the boat going as fast as possibly? Pressure on now for those guys closing in on the finish for sure. But yeah, there's so many battles in the fleet, and I'm really following Ollie really closely because I'm sort of living my race through him. We've been in similar parts of the planet at similar times, and we're on similar boats. So yeah, it's been a magic thing for me personally to relive the race every 4 years through these sailors and the incredible content that comes off them. And we're so fortunate that the Vendée Globe organisation go to such great lengths to be able to feed us here on land with such an amazing adventure.
In terms of the 2028 and working towards that with Scott, a big part of it is managing expectations.
Yeah, and I think this is a real learning experience, as Scott mentioned. There's the mindset's a big thing. One of the things that we have in our favour is sailing ability. Scott's a great sailor, so we've got the ability now to work on the tools that we need to get the right platform, build the right team around us going forward with a dedicated focus towards the Vendée Globe, and then the process going in. We're looking at a lot of races that are really strong in terms of creating experience for Scott. Your Southern Ocean, for argument's sake, we're looking at the ocean race and the ability to go down south with a team and experience Southern Ocean for a first time with a team. Those sorts of things to break down intimidation and to understand and plan better for the ultimate goal for us, which is Scott's 2028 Vendée Globe. So super exciting for me personally to be on the process, this 4-year journey. I feel super privileged to be part of the team because it's given me the opportunity to relive it all again and to be part of it again. And at my point in my life, I never thought I'd get that opportunity. So I'm loving being back following it intensely, and I'm loving working with a project that's got such a great ambition.
Hoping to go sailing at all?
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to get sailing with the team. Where Scott and I have done a fair bit of sailing together. We worked really hard on the program for the NewYork Vendée in the preparation. So I did all the training in Portugal with the team. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to get to still go for a sail when permitted. But it is that again is a real privilege to be actively on board, particularly with Scott and the rest of the team in the build up to the performance development of the project, which is a great thrill.
Well, it's a great privilege to speak with both of you, and wonderful to know that you're moving forwards to the next race with a concrete project, as it were, with a boat. And we're going to enjoy sharing the journey to 2028, and hopefully you'll be back on the show. We've got shows all the way through to the 2nd of February, so thank you so much. In the meantime, let's finish with Thomas Riong with his images in the storm, giving a real insight of what life has been like on board Vulnerable recently.
Bon, bel orage encore une fois. Voilà, et là, j'ai eu 40 nœuds dans l'orage. Et là, j'ai plus de vent. Ouais, j'ai encore des éclairs là. Il pleut. J'ai la mer qui est très croisée. Je sais pas si vous entendez le tonnerre là derrière. Putain, ça fait des journées, des soirées bien rythmées. Pas facile.
So great insight into life on board Vulnerable in the Thunder and Lightning. My guest tomorrow will be Chris Pratt, hopefully going to join up, hopefully with Boris Herrmann, who he sailed with on the ocean race. But that's all we have time for today. Will join me once again tomorrow, 13:30 UTC, 14:30 here in France. We'll see you then.